Welcome to the House of CEO podcast, where entrepreneurship meets intention. I'm your host, Nikandra Moran, here to share how building a business with purpose can create freedom and balance in life. Join me and inspiring guests as we explore the strategies, stories, and insights that help entrepreneurs align their work with their values, so you can craft a business and life that truly reflect who you are. Let's begin the journey to success on your own terms. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the House of CEO. You all, I am so excited to bring Carla here. I feel like this will be a super intriguing episode for all of my clients, listeners, and prospective clients that are thinking about hiring a bookkeeper, accountant, and so forth. So, Carla, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I am so excited that we were finally able to make this happen.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited about our conversation. We'll try to keep it reasonable on the technical side of things to make sure people just learn enough, and start to use some of the knowledge to implement in their businesses.
Yeah, and you all, this is the first podcast episode that I've ever done with a person that is also in the finance industry. And so I think you're in for a lot of jewels as you will kind of hear Carla and me as we talk about what it means to get your business organized, what it means to really set your business up for success, and best practices for your business as well. So, Carla, tell us a little bit about your business. You all, Carla is a CFO and she offers bookkeeping and CFO services. So, Carla, tell us, how did you get started in your business? Take us way back to the beginning stages, because I know when I think about my beginning stages, it makes me laugh when I think about where I am now. Tell us how you got started into your business.
Yeah, so I have a corporate finance background, and I quickly realized that small businesses didn't have access to the knowledge or expertise of a finance function. And a finance function is going to complement your accounting side, the tax side, the bookkeeping side. That is the foundation of your business. And then when you start to think about looking forward, that's where the finance comes in. And so, given that I had that background, I realized small businesses didn't have this access to expertise. And I wanted to make sure that we could support them in making decisions through data. And so, I started my business consulting 6 years ago with just myself, just consulting with some businesses here and there. And the more I realized that they had this need of planning services, forecasting projections, but they didn't have anyone to help them do it, that's when I became really passionate about helping those businesses thrive by creating financial plans to achieve their goals. They just weren't clear on what they wanted to do, but they knew they wanted to grow and they knew they wanted something new and exciting. And I was able to bring the numbers to that plan so that they had clarity to take action and move forward. So fast forward to now, we have a team. We have a few CFOs on the team, and we're growing, and we're excited to help more business owners take control of their financial future in their business.
Oh, wow. Did you always think you would be an entrepreneur?
Never. So I would say, like, I was always very entrepreneurial growing up. I would just buy things and resell them at a markup. That's just like what you do, right? For a little
Yeah,
extra money to buy the pair of jeans that you wanted that were way more expensive than your mom wouldn't buy. And so we always had that spirit, but I'm very risk adverse kind of person. So I had to build so much safety net around me before I started going
yeah,
into this path, because I felt like I couldn't just take a leap. I needed to pad my landing in case
yeah,
something went wrong. And being a CFO, unfortunately, you're always thinking about all the risks and opportunities, especially
yeah,
more the risk side.
yeah,
So being, risk adverse and kind of mitigating for that risk was key in order for me to want to pursue this as a full-time career and leave what I call secure job, right, in
yeah,
corporate, where you're getting paid really well, and
yeah.
but you're also working a lot. And so kind of making that financial plan again, right? To understand what are the variables, how much money do I need to save ahead of time so that I feel comfortable jumping into this all in and knowing that no matter what, I will be okay and my family will be taken care of.
Yeah. It's so funny because, like, when I think about my business, like when I first got started, I just wanted to make enough to like cover my salary. And now I
Yes.
have a team. Like, does your business look exactly kind of how you envision, or has it changed over the years?
It has evolved many, many times, and I think it will continue to evolve. I think this is the path of entrepreneurship that maybe people don't talk much about, and it's that you get to reinvent your business every couple of years because a lot changes, especially if you're growing. A lot has to be redefined, and we're actually going through another stage of redefining just now, where we're focusing more on that team approach versus the Carla show, which is what I called it before. It was all about me. It was just me and an assistant going to an actual fully functioning team that supports me and supports our clients directly and are working with clients on their own, right? With our supervision. And that is a huge change. I wasn't expecting to grow a team. It came out of the need that clients had to have more support and more than I alone could serve. And I
Yeah.
got to a point where I just stepped out on capacity and I wasn't willing to work more hours just to take on more clients. And so that's when the need for hiring team really came.
So this is really interesting to me, Carla, because there is a lot of noise, like as far as like how you build a practice for CFOs, for bookkeepers, in this idea of capacity. And
Mhm.
so as I've grown my practice, I've tried to navigate what capacity looks like for me. So, like when you think about your business, do you want to, as I call it, just continue to scale as the need arises? What are your thoughts to creating a business that is, of course, something that you want to come to every day, but also provides opportunities for like other people? Like, what are your thoughts to like how you've grown your practice? Because for me, at first, like I said, I just wanted to cover my salary. And then as my business has grown, I've given opportunities to other people who are now on my team that also has some of the ideologies and the goals that I wanted for myself as an entrepreneur: freedom, flexibility. What are your thoughts for that?
Yeah, we're very similar and aligned in that our values and the people we attract very much aligns with this notion of we want freedom and flexibility. We want to be able to be part of our family's lives, but we also want a fulfilling career and we don't want to have to choose between the two. So the way we craft some of our opportunities for our team is specifically part-time on purpose.
Mhm.
And that is because I value freedom and flexibility, and so does my team. And so nobody works your typical 40 hours a week. We are all
Love
below
that.
that. And that is intentional because we want them to have a 4-day work week or less where
Yeah,
they can still have flexibility. One, because things spill over, as like sometimes, clients cancel, we have to reschedule, we have to have space, right, to manage some of that fluctuation. But
yeah,
I also find that a lot of people are so much more happy to work with us and are willing
yeah,
to even take a pay cut at times just because they get to have more of that freedom in their life now, not when they retire one day at 65 or whatever the
yeah,
age is, right? They
yeah,
want to enjoy now. They don't want to give that up. But again, they still want a fulfilling career. And that's what we provide for them. We provide that fulfilling aspect of doing the work that you love, taking care of clients while still balancing the demands of maybe your growing family. And at the same time, we're still growing our business. And that's the shocking part about this, right? And I think a lot of people haven't done the math on this capacity aspect
yeah,
of as a CEO, I cannot take on more clients because I have to manage a business that's growing and I have to manage my team. So I might be at 50% capacity and not taking on more clients. That means I need to bring in another team member or two to
yeah.
handle the additional clients that are coming our way through, our growth strategies and marketing to make sure that they're cared for the right way because we are high touch, high expertise, and high in-depth support for our clients, and we want to keep it that way. So we cap the amount of clients that each CFO has on purpose so we can do a really good job at being there by their side when things happen, expected or unexpected, and we're able to support them the best way we can.
I love that. And I feel like even just outside of me and you and our practices, I think a lot of our clients want the same thing. They want to be
Mhm,
able to have the freedom and flexibility. They want to be able to offer those things to other great people to work
mhm,
and help them do the work in the services that they offer. And I think this is where a part of our services really help them. It allows them to be able to financially get ready to take some of the goals that they have and
mhm,
turn them into actionable items. So, tell
exactly.
us a little bit about the services you provide. I feel like a reoccurring theme that a lot of people ask are the differences in all different financial services, financial planners, CFOs, bookkeepers, tax preparers. Tell us what specter you handle within your business and the services you provide and the type of clients that you work with, and what does it look like to work with your company?
Yeah, so we provide fractional CFO outsource services. That means we're actually taking the financial management off your plate and we are taking on that responsibility to support you through financial analysis to make decisions, through forecasting and projections, where we are writing scenario planning. You're trying to make a decision between should I buy a building, should I rent? What does that look like before you make the decision? This is key. You're trying to understand what is my compensation structure? How many people can I afford to hire and when? And
Yeah.
we run those numbers before you make those decisions. And again, this is the key aspect of what we do is that planning piece before you decide it. Because once you decide it, you've already made the decision and you're dealing with the consequences. We want to understand what are the consequences of your decision before you make them. And that's where the analysis and the support will come in. Now, just because you're outsourcing your financial stuff doesn't mean you're not in control of them anymore. What it's doing is you're taking the work from your plate to our plate, and then we're coming back to you with the key takeaways, insights, trends, analysis, and data that you need in order to make decisions. And when you're asking questions, we're able to evaluate some of the answers, possibilities, or options that you should be assessing in making those decisions before you make them, and then confidently moving forward with a clear financial picture of what those decisions will look like. Are you prepared from a cash flow perspective to tackle those decisions, or do you need to wait to build reserves before you move forward?
Mhm.
And so now you take the guessing out of it, and that gut instinct that maybe has gotten you this far is going to now be paired with that data to validate what's the best path forward as we are trying to think about decision making. And this is very different than the function that maybe accounting services play, where you are ensuring that there's compliance that's happening, that your current data is accurate, that maybe the tax side of it is handled from a compliance perspective every year, and also different than the bookkeeping. But all of that is the foundation of the work that allows us to be a good CFO. And looking
Yeah.
forward is when we have good, solid data and foundations have been built through the bookkeeping and accounting support services that the team provides.
Yeah. So, wait a minute. Let's pause because this is a broken record that I tell all of my clients, especially the clients that do not do bookkeeping and really need financial help or advising. Carla, can you please speak to the importance of bookkeeping in your business?
Yeah, it's crucial that the books are in good shape. They have been categorized and reconciled in the right way. And I
Yes.
know a lot of people think that they can do their own books and that auto categorizing in QuickBooks is the way to go. And I'm
Yeah.
here to tell you as a CFO that every time we take on a bookkeeping client, out of necessity, really, because that's not our sweet spot, but we do it because we need to have good data in order to do the work that we do, we recognize that there's so many missed opportunities. And
Yeah.
this is the risk that you run of DIYing your own books is that things might be in the wrong bucket. And then at tax time, you don't get to benefit from that tax write off because you put it in the wrong bucket and you're not sure which one it should be. Then you should be asking a professional to help you align with the right categories. And
Yeah.
that's why bookkeeping is crucial beyond also making financial decisions. Because if you have a historical expenditure that's double what it should be because things are categorized the wrong way. Because I've seen,
Yeah.
for example, revenue be categorized in expense or pricing, that
Yeah.
this happens sometimes,
Yeah.
again, probably by mistake. And
Yeah.
then nobody catches it, and then you file
Right.
taxes on that, and then it's all wrong, right? And then you have to amend past years, and then we as CFOs can't project the future because we're like, oh, there's no revenue. Like, you haven't been making money. And they're like, well, yeah, I have. Where's that? And we have to dig and find where things were just in the wrong place. And
Yeah.
this is where the cleanup work comes in, and building that foundation to be stronger and better really takes time away from us being able to help you guide the future, because now we're here cleaning the books first because it wasn't up to par and the quality level it should have been.
Yeah. That's so interesting. And we have the same thing here. A lot of tax prep. You really can't prepare an accurate and complete return if you don't have your books. And so we do a lot of cleanups as well as a result of trying to do the compliance work. But for you, like, what does your bookkeeping services look like? Is it primarily just for people who are purchasing CFO services? How does a person know that they're ready for CFO services? Usually, and I want to say this to you, and then you can kind of correct me. But I did a blog post a while back and I was talking about the differences of all of the different financial professionals. And of course, you have the tax preparer, you have the bookkeeper that does the day to day work, the tax preparer that does like the compliance, yearly tax returns, financial quarterly taxes and so forth calculations. And you have the financial planner who helps plan on the personal side to your business and investments and so forth. And a part of the CFO was a CFO helps turn your financials into a story and they help you to project the future and make very important decisions. What would you say to that? Would you tweak any of that? Does that seem like right on target? What do you say when people say, like, what is a CFO like? In the differences, is that kind of in line or would you add something to it?
Yeah, it's definitely that future planning, future looking, aspect of what we do on the forecasting and projections that go along with that. I think a lot of the time people think we're here just running numbers. What we're doing is setting a strategy and direction for your business going forward that's intentional, that's been crafted based on the goals that you want to achieve as a CEO, that takes that into account, and then brings it down to actually a financial plan that lets you take action. And
Mhm.
that's the key aspect of the work that we do. Because a lot of people say, oh, projections, they might be right, they might be wrong. That's not the point. The point is the actions we're going to take based on the plan that we created that gives you that clarity to move forward.
Yeah.
And that's sometimes what's missing from owners. They're just doing whatever, or they're not sure. They're going 10 different directions instead of putting their energy all towards the one way that they want to achieve goals. And like you mentioned, that doesn't happen without the help of a good, strong bookkeeping in place, including, having a clean balance sheet, which I often see missed tremendously. And the good thing is that with our services, you don't have to choose if you bring the bookkeeping here or not. We work with your existing team. We want to work with your existing team because that provides checks and balances on mutually kind of checking each other's work, providing feedback. If you see something that's off, we can ask questions from both sides of the equation. And we're able to help grow the skill set of any existing team member. We are good. We're big on like partnering and training and coaching and providing as much guidance as we can from a CFO perspective. If it gets to a point where maybe they're not doing a great job and they're not willing to learn or be coached, then we do have the option to replace that function. That is not our intention. We just want to be the CFO, to be honest. We would love for someone else to handle the books and the accounting and all of that other aspect of it, because our sweet spot is that forward looking, but we can't do it until things are in order from a both accounting and bookkeeping compliance aspect.
Yeah. What type of clients do you work with? Do you have a certain niche? Who do you typically work with?
Yeah, so we work with clients who've been in business for 2, 3 years. They tend to have 5 or 10 employees or team members that are helping them grow that business. So they're past the solopreneur stage mostly because for the complexity of financials to be there, you need a lot of moving pieces. And at this stage in business, things start to get way more complex. Like one
Yeah,
decision here can impact 10 things down the road and you're not sure. And that's where it gets really confusing and people get overwhelmed by the financial management of their business because there's just too much happening on top of you running your team, managing everyone. And managing your own energy is just a lot. And so that's
yeah,
where delegation of the finance function starts to come into play. It tends to be at around the seven-figure mark, though that's not exclusively the case because a company that's six figures is growing double every year could also need CFO services.
yeah,
It's just more about what is the complexity level you're dealing with, and then do you even
yeah,
have time to do the financials every month, or are you just ignoring it and hoping and praying and waiting to see what happens,
yeah,
which is a lot of what our owners tell us, right? They're like, "I'm just winging it. I don't know how to make decisions. I'm not looking at my data, and I
yeah,
neither do I have time to do it."
yeah. That's really good, Carla. What would you say for the businesses that are, let's say, if they are just right at their first six figures, or they may just have like a couple of contractors, but they feel like they need CFO type services, or they feel like they need a Carla? What do you tell them?
We actually created a way to work with them because we didn't wanna have to say no, but we knew that they, one, didn't need us on retainer, but they
Yeah,
still needed a plan, they still needed projections, they still needed support and expertise, and we're able to take those on as a one-time project basis as needed, and so it has a defined scope of work, a deliverable that goes with it, and it's a one-time payment so that people are not feeling like they're being stretched too thin in accessing the support they need early on because they know and understand the importance of having their numbers projected and forecasted and having a clear plan is valuable to them and they're willing to invest in that. And then we are able to then take them on either as bookkeeping clients or if they are like, I'll just access as I need to
mhm,
services, then we have an option for that as well so that businesses can start earlier in their journey realizing the power that finance planning can have in their business.
yeah. So, what are the feelings that clients come? Because I feel like when I do consults, I get some of the same feedback that has prompted them to book a meeting, right?
Mhm.
They could have met a certain income threshold. They could be getting over receiving a large tax bill, and that may prompt
Mm.
them to book a meeting
Mhm.
with me. So usually I can spot certain things that may happen along the journey. What are some typical signs that you may get from people who book meetings with you or consults that have made them feel that they need more, like they need like a CFO? Like, what are some signs or some indicators that you can tell people that are listening that you may need to look into getting a CFO?
Yeah, they feel like the growth is out of control and they can't wrap their hands around it anymore. Like they feel
Wow.
like, oh, we had explosive growth. What happened? Someone please come explain it to me, right? So they feel a little lost, right? They're like, this is fantastic. And at the same time, why do I feel so uncertain? Because
Yeah,
that uncertainty is what they want us to help them deal with. And that's what we do for a living, right? They also might be feeling like every decision I make, I'm just winging it or using my gut feel to
yeah,
make it instead of feeling secure or sure about my decision. I feel really not at ease when I'm making decisions in my business because it's worked this far. So we're just going to keep doing it that way. But something is shifting, right? They're like, ooh, the stakes are higher. I can't keep doing this without clarity. I can't move forward. I feel stuck.
yeah,
Or they feel like they just don't have the time to
yeah,
look at their numbers. They're like, "There's so much going on. I'm trying to grow this business." Maybe they feel stuck, or maybe they feel like, "I'm bringing all this money, but where's the money going?" That's the common one. They're like, "Why is the bank account not showing how much money is flowing through this?" Because what I call it is sometimes they created a pass-through entity where they get money in and goes money right out, and there's nothing left in the middle.
Yeah.
right? And so they don't know how to solve that problem. And it's
Yeah.
sometimes driven because of pricing or some other issues that might be happening. So we're able to diagnose that for them and give them a solution. And so if you're feeling like you're a pass-through entity, if you're feeling uncertain, if you're just winging it, you don't have a clear plan, these are indications that maybe the financial side of your business has outgrown your either knowledge, expertise, or skill set, or even just your time, to be honest. Sometimes we just don't have the time, and you need to bring in an expert that can help you navigate through that, and also an expert that understands and can explain to you in plain English, by the way, what's actually happening, not in the technical, lingo that a lot of people like to use, but can use simple ways to describe the problems that are happening. It could be a cash flow issue, it could be a compensation issue, it could be a pricing issue, and then we're able to pinpoint the problem so we can then more easily solve it and also give you a solution to what that problem might be.
Yeah. I think this is really important because we have to start understanding the differences in what financial professionals do. Because sometimes what I see within my firm is we get asked all kind of questions. We get asked questions for financial planners. We get asked CFO type questions. We're getting asked banker questions, real-
Mhm.
realtor questions.
Yeah.
And there is this ideology that when you work with a financial professional, they wear all of these different hats. And the reason why I wanted you to come on the podcast is because ETS, our firm, we only offer bookkeeping, tax planning, and tax preparation. And we will sometimes try to give general information when it comes to CFO questions and things like that, but we do not offer CFO services. We do not do in depth services like what Carla provides. And so I just think it's important for business owners to know the differences of all of these different areas. Number one. Number two, understand the foundation to a lot of this stuff is bookkeeping, you all. And it's a
Mhm.
reoccurring theme that keeps coming up, and how that is
Yes.
literally the backbone to everything. Working with Carla, if you don't have your books up to date, that's a part of her process, is to give you accurate financials so that she can give you accurate data, right? Same
Mhm.
for taxes. And so us coming together is to create more education about this, but then also to let you know what indicators you need to look for when it's time for you to hire a CFO, or to know the differences so you won't feel like you're paying for a CFO, but you're only paying for monthly bookkeeping services.
That's my biggest pet
You
peeve in the
think you
industry.
paying
Like,
for
I mean,
Carla.
we
You're
gotta
not
go there,
paying for
right?
Carla, you all. If
The
you
problem
paying,
is anyone can say they're a CFO, but are they actually providing you CFO level services? And I think this is a
unpack
hard
that,
one.
Carla. Please.
Yeah, I think that if you're just getting a percent allocation report monthly from your quote unquote CFO, that is not CFO services. What a CFO does is we analyze the data, we do financial analysis around what are some of the things that are happening in your business so we can get an in depth understanding of what are the problems and the root cause of the problem. So then we can give a strategy and identify a path to solve it. It's not as simple as just saying, I'm a CFO and here's your profit first percentage allocation, right? Which is what I see a lot happening right now. And I
Wow.
want to make sure I call attention to this trend because a fractional CFO is more going to be much more than a report person. We are going to be talking to you about financial strategy. We're going to talk to you about problems we're solving in the business day to day. For example, you're dealing with employee turnover and you need a hiring plan. We're creating the hiring plan from a financial perspective to tell you when you can afford to replace those people, how quickly can we get those roles on, and what are we going to compensate at. So if your person is not supporting you in a day-to-day problem solving and also growth opportunities, right? We should invest in XYZ because we're going to create a new revenue stream that we didn't have before, and that's where the growth is going to come from. Or we're going to up level the type of offer that we have to include more services. And now you can charge a different price point because there's more value there. These are the kind of conversations we're having with our owners. We're looking at pricing strategy. We're looking at all the things that can shape the financial direction of the company beyond a percentage allocation report. And so I just want to make sure that when people are shopping for CFO services, that they do feel they're getting a business partner that is looking at profitability, analyzing their financials, providing opportunities on where we can fix the direction going forward, and not just telling them move this much money from one account to another. That is not fractional CFO services. But unfortunately, I know a lot
It's
of people are
being
not
done.
familiar with what it is.
Yeah. And people are advertising CFO services, and it's not exactly what those are. So I think it's nice to shine a light on that. I was going to ask you because I remember you told me about like revenue, income, and amounts where people generally come. Are there certain industries you work with, or is it any kind of industry, whether it's product based, service based? Is there certain industries that you all specialize in, or it's is your sweet spot within your company?
Yeah, we do specialize in some industries. Obviously, as the CFO, we can help a lot of people in business that have different business models because we understand that. But as far as the specialized industries where we have extra in-depth knowledge of the industry is going to be healthcare, which is insurance and private pay-based group practices, multiple locations, a lot of members on the team, and they're growing. And the complexity again is they're trying to make decisions like, should I buy a building, right, instead of rent? So
Yeah.
like that's the kind of clients that we work with on the healthcare side. And then we have professional services and consultants that we support as well. They have their own consulting businesses and they're also having the same issues around clarity and their financial path on growth. And then we work with nonprofits because we like to help the established nonprofits and deal with their board of directors and communicate financial strategy and also results every time that we meet with the board members to report on that, working with the staff that supports the nonprofit. And then, final but not last, is our CPG, e-commerce, and retail segment, which we just have a lot of knowledge in that industry and have worked with a lot of those companies too.
Yeah. Can you speak to why payroll and employees can make the like kind of not complicate your business, but it drives a more need for the type of services you have? A lot of business owners, as they start to hire, I don't know if there's a strategy to the hiring as far as the amount that they pay the person or how things are structured, but can you talk to the entrepreneurs out here who have employees or even contractors that are going into employees and the importance of the financials and how that aligns with their growth?
Yeah, so I think one key aspect of that change is that your costs are no longer just what you pay the person, right? Before you're like, I pay this person $50 an hour, that was your cost. And then they handled everything on their end from a tax perspective, as well as any tools that they needed to do the job. As an employer, not only do you now have to deal with employment laws in the state that you hire, which by the way, if it's multiple states, now you're having to be more aware of the state laws in other states and making sure that your employee has the necessary tools. Now you're paying for that. So you got to buy that laptop, right? You got to ship them the desk or whatever it is that you're setting them up with. So that startup cost, I think sometimes people forget it's there because now you're fully responsible for that telephone line or half of their mobile phone because you're asking them to work for you as an employee. And there's some things that you might provide. You're also responsible for payroll taxes, and that is a huge differential of cost. So now if you were paying 50 an hour, now you're paying an additional 7.3% on top of that, or 7.5 roughly percent on top of that. And then if you're providing some kind of benefit, a 401k, some kind of health insurance, now you got to add that cost on top of that. So now maybe you're paying more like $60 an hour and people are not budgeting for this. And then when you're making the switch, they're like, why am I not making enough? Or why is this costing me so much more? It's because they didn't financially prepare for that. And not only that, but as an employer, now you're taking the responsibility of someone's livelihood. So you should have cash runway of at least 2 to 3 months of their payroll to make sure that if things don't go according to plan, which often happens in business, that you still can make good on your payroll responsibilities to that employee because they are solely depending on you as the employer to provide for them. So this is nothing to be taken lightly. I think it's a great option for businesses that are growing that want to have a committed team that's dedicated to their business and their growth paths and are invested in them. But it comes at an actual cost to your business, and running the numbers and making sure you're still making money after all that is so critical to make sure you're not losing money every time you're bringing a new employee and kind of projecting for when that time is right to bring an additional hire.
Yeah, and historically, that's really good because historically, when we went through that shift with COVID, there is a lot of businesses that really grew within that time, and they hired all of this, they hired
Yes.
staff and employees, and we were really in unprecedented times, really, from an economic perspective. And the not planning for it financially really hurt a lot of businesses. A lot of businesses laid employees off and couldn't sustain the business as things kind of stabilized or went down like over the years. And
Mhm.
I think we don't properly plan when it comes to hiring someone and the importance and the mindset that we have to have when we bring someone on for our team and we assume that responsibility.
Mhm.
And so I think it's a good thing to think about, of course, very important, but it also speaks to the mindset that the entrepreneur also needs to have for how they see themselves in their business and where they see themselves. Because I always say, like, everyone is not necessarily, everyone doesn't have to build a business with multiple employees. Sometimes the goal could be to maybe have one employee or a couple of contractors building to where you are satisfied based on the goals you have for your business. And I
Mhm.
think we have so much narrative around we have to build, build, build. We have to grow, grow, grow. We have to scale, scale, scale. And sometimes it's at the cost of other people. And so I think listening to you and your services and like what you offer is so important because it adds a layer of advising that people really need as far as, do I need to hire that person? Am I leaking cash? Am I overpaying people?
Mhm.
Do I have too many people? Do I need to downsize? Do I have too many expenses? And some of those things you all cannot be that can't be answered by a bookkeeper. You have to be willing to invest in services where you have a deep analysis, especially when you get to that level.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that what ends up happening often at Congress, they're making decisions in silos, right? They're like, we'll hire this one person and this, we'll bring in another person here because we need it. And then before they know, they had like 5 people under them, and they never thought, what is my actual compensation strategy? Or they never thought, our prices are aligned to actually sustain this kind of team, or do we need to shift over time because now we actually have team we're responsible for, but when we were by ourselves, we could afford to charge differently. What's our value for our offers? Has that changed? Because now we have a team servicing the client versus one person. Like none of these are intentional decisions. And that is part of the problem is we're not taking a moment to step back and analyze, okay, are we doing better than last year? Are we on track to grow profit? Is our revenue up year over year by what percentage? Are we down? And should we be restructuring some of the costs? We're not budgeting intentionally. We're not asking those right questions because we're just going about our day or our week and our months. And it just, there's a lot going on. Let's be honest. And the
Yeah.
last thing maybe you want to look at is your numbers. And we know this for sure because we have a lot of those kind of clients, right, that come to us because they're like, we just are not looking at it and we know the importance of it. So we need to be able to work with you to bring the accountability, but also the insights on that a perspective on what we're not seeing because
Yeah.
sometimes they're so in the day to day, they're not able to see what we see from a trend perspective or from an analysis or from just taking a step back and looking and comparing results from previous quarter, previous year, previous month, even. Hey, costs are going up. What's going on? What decisions did we make that impacted that? And all of this is in their control. They can craft a different path if they choose to, but they need to work at it to understand what they're gonna do differently going forward.
Yeah. So if someone hires and someone decides to like work with you, what do you all kind of recommend? Is it something like you have a monthly call, a quarterly call, a semi-annual call? And it sounds like for people who are smaller, they can choose to just have a one-time engagement with you all at a specific target or
Mhm.
goal, and then they can offboard until they're ready to have like regular services. What does regular services look like for you all?
Yeah, so we're at least, for our fractional CFO retainer clients, we're at least meeting them monthly. And monthly, it's one checkpoint we have, but during the month, we're working to analyze other financials and decisions that they're trying to make. So they're trying to decide, for example, someone's trying to buy another business to absorb under theirs to grow their business faster. We're analyzing financials, doing due diligence for that, talking to the broker and talking to the owner to make sure we understand how much we're going to
Wow.
offer for that. Like, these are the kind of work that we do day to day that sometimes pops up, right? From a client that maybe was just on maintenance, all of a sudden they're substantially growing overnight. And
Yeah.
then maybe we're meeting with a client twice per month because they are trying to buy that building and build cash flow reserves, and they're trying to hire 10 more people at once. And so we need to be able to tell them what's happening in the numbers and then look at things strategically as well to make sure we're covering a lot of ground. So besides reviewing your numbers, which is, obviously a staple of what we do, we're
Right.
going way beyond that to look at what's driving some of the problems we see, what solutions have we implemented, did we actually do the things we said we were going to do in the last time we met, have we
Right.
made any progress?
Accountability.
Huge, huge accountability because financials don't just happen. We need to take action in order for it to change, right? And also at the same time, we're dealing with just whatever's happening in the business, right? People are coming and going. Like if there's attrition happening, we're talking about retention, intentionally rewarding the team that's here. How do we make sure that they are satisfied with their compensation? Are we doing raises? Are we doing a profit sharing or a bonus distribution? We are talking about those options and making the decision based on the financial picture to see what we can afford to do.
Yeah.
And then we're intentionally rolling some of those changes out to the team once we're ready to do so. But all these conversations are happening behind the scenes with us and our clients to decide what is the right thing to focus on. Where do we want to put the money? Where are we not investing enough? Sometimes it's marketing. And sometimes we're investing too much in marketing and it's not working. So let's try
Yeah.
something else. So we're
Yeah.
evaluating where all the dollars are going to make sure that we are allocating in the right way so that we can move the needle in the business.
It sounds very high touch.
It is.
Yes, I can tell. It sounds like it's a very high touch, and it speaks to the level of quality that you all provide as well, which sounds really, really great.
Yeah, you get access to our whole team, which is fantastic because it's not just one CFO. We have a lead CFO working on the account, but we have other CFOs in our team that we consult with sometimes when there's decisions we're trying to make. Hey, what possibilities have I not thought of? Can you give me like three more examples of things you're seeing that we could put on the table for a client to evaluate? Or what are some of our risks that maybe we missed on this list of five risks? Maybe you have one more to add, and we're able to bring in the team to collaborate, have our finance analysts do some of the analysis on the data so we can then focus on the strategic and the trend setting and the actions we need to take to make that change. So it's definitely a team effort so that you're getting access to a full suite of team versus just one CFO who
Yeah.
has their knowledge, but sometimes that could be limited when other people can bring more ideas to the table. It makes it so much better for the client experience to have the best of two or three people coming together to help them solve problems.
Yeah. So, what if somebody is listening to this and they're like, this sounds amazing. This is everything that I want. I really need someone to help analyze my financials, tell me what I don't know, but they still are not in a place to afford your services. What I've noticed is a lot of people that may even need CFOs, they may be running a loss and they actually need it even the most. They have to help,
Yes.
they got to find ways to invest in you all because you all may be the solution to get them out that loss.
Yeah, and we've turned around clients. We've had clients that have been with us for 6 months at a loss and finally broke even or turn a profit for the first time, right? And these are, you
Wow.
would be surprised, bigger businesses that you would never think they're running at a loss, but the wrong cost structure or the wrong staffing level or the wrong margins on their products caused some of that issue. And we were able to pinpoint to the problem, make a change, and then see the outcome of that change to get them to break even on positive profit. And again, the numbers at the end of the day don't lie. So like you'll be able to see the shift and you'll be able to see that you actually have profit at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And working with those clients who you, like you said, need us the most,
Yeah.
but maybe are reluctant because they're like, well, I'm already negative. Like, what are they gonna do to turn it around? Is,
Yeah.
well, we're gonna go look at that root cause of the problems. And it normally it's not just one thing, by the way. It's normally complex and there's a lot of moving pieces. And it does take time, but
Yeah.
over time you should see progress. And that's what I tell clients. If you see progress, like we're less negative, we're break even, now we have a profit, we're doing our job, right? Because our job is to get you more profit, more cash flow, and more pay for yourself as an owner to make sure you're enjoying the journey of doing this as well.
Yeah. So something just came up for me that I'm going to share. So you all, sometimes you may think that you need a business coach, but you actually need a CFO. You all may have business coaches out here, just like Carla was talking about, the bookkeeper giving you the profit first financials. You all may have business coaches out here trying to give you all CFO advice. And because they may be in a similar industry, they feel that they can advise on that. But that is not actually a good idea. That really just came up for me. I feel like now,
We're on the
like
same page.
there are business coaches that are doing this stuff. Like because you remember like a couple of years ago, people were like, you got to hire your first employee. And these are business coaches. You got to come up with enough cash. And there was this running thing where like you don't need to have 6 months of savings. You just need to have 90 days because if they don't work out in 90 days, then you hire, you fire fast. This has really just come up for me, Carla.
Somehow we're on the same page because I was just writing up a piece around how business coaches are different than CFOs. And a lot of it came down to business coaches might have general understanding of all functions of the business, right? So they're going to talk to you about finance, marketing, HR, leadership, and just like anything else that they can coach you on generally.
Yeah.
But some business need is a deep level of expertise in finance to fix the financial problems that the business is having. And you need someone who's dedicated their career and have the
Yeah.
knowledge expertise to deep dive into the analysis, which by the way, your coach is not doing. Unless they maybe have finance background, then you're lucky. Fantastic, like two for one, right?
Yeah.
But unless they have that, then your business coach is not going to be able to help you with the root cause of the issue. They're just going to generally help you navigate all aspects of business, which might be what you need. But if you have a financial problem, you need to hire a financial expert. That's what it boils down to, right?
Yeah.
So you'll be better off investing your money there. And I'm not saying coaches are bad. I think coaches are amazing. I think we all should use them and
Absolutely.
need them, but you
Yes.
got to use them in the right way. And
Right.
I think sometimes people are thinking, oh, their financial coach is going to solve their financial problems. Not necessarily. It depends. Maybe they're helping you grow, and then that creates more room for profit. And then they're unintentionally helping you solve the problem, but the root cause hasn't gone away. And
Yeah.
the more you scale, you might be just magnifying the problem you already had because you
Yeah.
had the wrong structure in place and it's
Yeah.
costing you more than what you're bringing in to service or provide that product. And therefore, you're just going to run out of business much faster by growing than
Yeah.
addressing the root cause first.
What a jewel. Oh my gosh. That was such a jewel and an epiphany. So if and yes, business coaches are not bad. They do a great service. And it's the same as like if you hire your first executive assistant, they do everything. They can do your email, they can post on social media, they can help organize your files. But you may get to the point where you need someone specialized in social media. And sometimes your assistant who's
Mhm.
doing all of those general things, they may not know how to do like the extensive social media that may be needed for your business. And it
Mhm.
to me, this is the same stuff, you know? And so if you are out here investing in business coaching and things like that, and you still feel like your business is not where you want it to be, this is another sign that you need a financial expert or someone like a CFO that can come into your business that specializes in this stuff to help give you the clarity that you need, because you don't want to build your business on uneven bricks. And then you get to the
Exactly.
top and you realize, oh my, I need to go back and fix some of this stuff in order for me to get to where I'm trying to go. What a painful lesson.
Yeah, and it's important that you vet out, like I mentioned earlier, your financial professionals, right? Make sure they have the expertise, make sure they have that knowledge that you're looking for. That they're not just maybe a tax person calling themselves a CFO without the finance background, right? I see often there's a lot of crossover in the stuff that we do. Like, I wouldn't call myself a CPA or tax professional because I'm not one. I might know a lot about tax, right? But I'm going to send you to Nakondra for services because she is your expert and has spent all the time and effort educating herself in how to do that well. And so it's a disservice to client if I just start giving them tax advice and pretending like I know everything there is to know when that is your level of expertise and they should go to you for that. And so I just want to caution people to make sure you're looking for either credentialing, background expertise, or something that tells you, oh, they actually are a CFO and they
Yeah.
have done this for a while that they can help my business.
What is some experience they should look for?
Well, definitely finance experience will be great. I know there's a lot of people out there that maybe only have bookkeeping experience or only have tax experience.
Wow.
And maybe they nibble on the finance side in school. They took one class and all of a sudden they're like, I know finance. And that can be dangerous, right? Because there's a lot that comes with experience. And we've been doing this for 6 years. So we have experience, but 11 years of corporate finance has a lot of background and expertise that comes in the way that we do things. And all of my team has at least 10 years of experience in finance and have been trained on it. And so they do understand the needs of a client and how to approach the financial aspect of it. So maybe an undergrad in finance will be nice. Been told MBAs could be, could not, depending because it's not really in-depth finance expertise, is more generalized type of degree. But at least something that tells you they've been doing this for a while, they know what they're talking about, there is experience there that they can draw from.
Yeah. All right, you all. So I hope by now you can have like a good indicator of when you need a CFO and all of the differences between them all, knowing when you need a financial planner, when you need a bookkeeper just for the day to day work, when you need a tax preparer, tax planner to reduce your taxes. And yes, bookkeeping is the main foundation for a lot of this stuff. Even when you go to a financial advisor, they're going to want to see your numbers in order to help you make investment decisions. And so, this speaks to the importance and the broken record of how important bookkeeping is to your business, but how to differentiate all of the different ones that you can get what you need, or you don't feel like you're being serviced when really you are working with the wrong person, or that person is not providing the service that you really need. And I just think that's so important.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, Carla, for just the DIYers that's still just like, you know what, I just can't do it right now. Do you have any books, resources, anything you can share here for those people just to get them started until they can hire a Carla?
Yes, we would love for them to sign up for our newsletter on our website, wealthworthwithin.com. We share a lot of educational content for free, no strings attached. We just want business owners to get better at managing their finances. And we cover topics from things that are relevant from a tax perspective on like when is the right time to switch to S Corp and why should you talk to your accountant about it and when, to compensation structures, pricing, and other things that you get some educational content also. You can DIY your way through it. And then one day when you're ready to hire, you'll resource to us because we've been giving you all this amazing educational free content. We have a blog post full of information about what we do for clients and like how we support clients in various different topics. So feel free to check that out. And if nothing else, follow us on social media at wealthworthwithin.com. Sorry, wealthworthwithin. And we put on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn posts about things that we're talking to our clients that are relevant and information that is good for you to know, like why having a tax bill is a good thing, because that means you're making money, you have profits. So in any case, and then go on a Conrad to save you some other dollars that you don't need to pay extra for. But things that I think debunk a lot of that social media content that's out there that is just not doing any favors to any business owners, because when they try to go buy a house and they've never shown profit for the last 3 years, they can qualify for a mortgage. So, these are the real things that I think a lot of people are not sharing about how you run a profitable business and why it's important that you do so.
Yeah, that was great. So Carla has email newsletter, you all. She has DIY resources, content that she's giving away for free. I'm going to put everything in the show notes so that you all know where to find her on social media and her website if you all are interested in her services. And even if you are not, you all can follow her until you all are ready and you can consume some of the content that she has so that you can be educated during this time. And then when you are ready, you can look into hiring her and her team for services for CFO work. So, or cleanup work, bookkeeping work as well. So,
Mhm.
yeah. Any other last nuggets or jewels that you want to leave all of the members of the House of CEO or just all of the podcast listeners out here, even from a perspective just as a CEO or even just for CFO work, anything else that you
Yeah.
want to leave the podcast?
Yeah. So as a CEO, it is your responsibility to look at your numbers every month so that you know what's happening. And I know this can be very scary and a big ask for me to give you as an action step, but I think it all starts with knowing, and then we can make adjustments from there. So make sure you do that. And if you need support doing your budget for next year, we have a one-time project offer that we give to businesses of any size that just want some financial clarity and want to make their plan before the year starts so they know with certainty what they're going to achieve going into the next year. So you can go to our website for more information on that.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Carla. I will make sure that I put everything in the show notes. You all know when it's time to hire a CFO. A CFO can help you grow your business. They can be a person that can help turn your financials into a superpower to make very good future decisions on the things that you need to do. And so, you all, please consider Carla for your CFO needs as you all are growing your business. She is someone that I have worked with in the past. Some of my clients have worked with her and they really enjoy working with her. And this is really a long time coming for me and her doing this podcast together. But I would not bring her or tell you all to consider her if I didn't know anything about her. So Carla has done great work for my clients. She has worked alongside with me as a second set of eyes to financials. And she has really been just a key person that I would definitely want you all to consider for CFO services. So, Carla, thank you so much for coming to the podcast and for spending time with me today. So, I will put everything in the show notes and you all can follow her and we will see you in another episode of the House of CEO.
Thank
Bye
you.
everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the House of CEO podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who would benefit from these insights. For more updates and resources, follow me on social media or visit nikondramoran.com. Remember, success is yours to define. Keep building a business and life that reflect who you truly are. Until next time, take care.